It's Josh and Derek in the morning.
What is this?
It's so stupid.
Welcome back
Hey, everybody,
to episode 133.
of the Aggressively Medium podcast.
Schmod Schmass.
Yeah.
Yeah. How's
Yep.
your week?
It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good. What about yours?
You know.
You know, it was mediocre.
Yeah. It was aggressively medium. Actually, the start of my week was very stressful because I had essentially one guy tell Kyle to text me back.
Okay. Hey, Kyle.
He was.
Crane.
I just saw.
Kyle Crane.
I
Text
just saw
Josh
him
back.
on your thing. I just saw him on your phone.
will.
Tell him to text me back.
I will.
He texted me, and then I responded,
And he hasn't responded?
And he hasn't responded back. What
Well.
a doucher!
2 weeks from now when this episode goes out.
Yeah. Hopefully it's all cleared up by then. Anyways, yeah. So the beginning of my week was super stressful. I had to get a new screen put on my MacBook, and I went to Best Buy because Apple told me to go to Best Buy because they're like an authorized whatever.
They are, but yeah.
They said it would be at least $700 and it would be gone for 3 weeks. And I was like, that's not. I said, I'm going to go look at how much a new one costs now, which is probably what they wanted anyway.
Yeah. Actually, I doubt it because they don't make any money on MacBooks.
Well,
I used to be a manager there. There's zero.
when
more.
were you a manager there?
In 2010 and 11.
I wonder if you were there. We'll talk
I
about
was
it.
mostly at the 280 store.
Oh, not
Yeah.
Tuscaloosa.
I was there for like 3 months.
Okay. You probably weren't there. My brother worked there.
What was his name? Or what is his name?
We'll talk about it later.
Okay.
Anyways.
We can edit this part out.
So I'm not editing this out. I'm not editing anything out. It's just start to finish, whatever it is.
Let's do it.
But yeah, had to get my MacBook. I went to the Core, and they were like, "We can do it for like $300, and it'll be done in like 20 minutes." And I was like, "That's cool with me." And they're like, "Do you want to leave and come back?" I was like, "It'd take more effort for me to go and come back than I'll just sit here." So they fixed it in like 20 minutes. Super
Jeez.
easy. So that happened. A couple other things happened. It stressed me out, but I'm here. I've survived. A couple other things have stressed me out this week, but I'm still here. So
Yeah.
I had the girls on the food truck last night. They called me like 9 o'clock, and they were like, "Hey, the lights won't turn on,
Uh-oh.
the headlights." I was like, "Okay."
That's not good.
So you keep fiddling with it, and I'll be there in like 10, 15 minutes, something like that. They're like, "Okay." So I get there, and like I had to like completely take this headlight switch apart, figure out how it works, and then ghetto rig it back together. And then I was like, when you get back to the commissary, you cut all this tape off of here, and then it should all just fall apart. And then the headlights will turn off, and then I'll fix it tomorrow. And they're like, "How are you so calm?" I was like, it probably helps that like my real job is like running into burning buildings. Like this is not that big of a deal. Like the headlights broke. Oh no!
Ah!
My baby's inside.
A little bit different.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, I'm here,
Well, good.
doing good.
I'm glad you're here.
Yeah. We'll see what next week holds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
What about yours?
Man, it was good. What did I do this week?
Did you get a new iPhone?
I did. I got a new iPhone yesterday.
Are you loving it? It's the
Yeah.
same thing.
It's the same thing. The way the movements are, like whenever you switch from one app to the other, like just the and not animations, but whatever it's called.
So
It's a little different.
yeah.
And it's cool. I like it. But yeah, I went and spent 3.5 hours at the cell phone store. So like I was switching from AT&T to Verizon. The first hour that I was there was on the phone with AT&T trying to figure out how to go from a business line with AT&T to a personal line with Verizon. And AT&T was making it way more difficult than it needed to be. Finally, we got a hold of somebody named Larry. Shout out Larry.
Shout out to Larry.
You're not gonna anyway. But and Larry was like, "No, just use your PIN number that you use to call into AT&T. Like that's your transfer code." And it worked.
Nice.
So like within 2 minutes of talking to Larry, we had it fixed.
Pro tip.
Call Larry. Anyway, so yeah, other than that, it was great, man. I got a new watch, got a new phone. My wife did
Yeah.
too. Yeah, that's about it.
I had the last 2 times that I've been into an AT&T store, I had a very similar, like it took me, like Meg's phone. So Meg's phone, we got her upgraded, and then we sat in that store for 2 hours. So one part of it was doing all the stuff that needed to be done. And then the second part was she wanted to transfer everything over from one phone to the other phone because she was giving them the old phone.
Yeah.
Well, when they took it out of the box, it was like, it's not charged enough to like transfer data. And so then we had to sit there and wait for it to charge. And then after it got done charging, then we could start the transfer process. The transfer process took an hour and a half
Mine did too.
because their Wi-Fi sucked.
Oh, mine just went Bluetooth from one phone to the next, and it took an hour. Yeah, it was awful.
It's horrible. The last time that I went into an AT&T store, I said, look, I know what I want. I don't want anything special. I want to be out of this store in 15 minutes because this is the way things are going to be today. And like, shout out to the AT&T store by the Northport Walmart.
Huh.
They were super helpful. She was like, do you want blah, 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 blah? And I said, no. Do you want blah, 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 blah? No. And I looked at her and I said, 15 minutes. That's how long I want to be in here. She was like, so you don't want any of this extra stuff? I said, no. I said, I want the iPad. I want the data plan. I want to leave. That's all I want. Don't do nothing else. And
In and out.
she got it done. So, yeah.
They don't make any money off people like you.
Probably not. I don't care.
Yeah.
I just want to get in, get out. We probably need to plug that cord into that camera. I just thought about that. But yeah, so AT&T to Verizon.
If you go into upgrade and you can either know that it's going to take 3.5 hours sitting in the store,
Yeah.
or you can pay $50 and be done in 15 minutes. What about 100? Like, what's your number? You know what I mean?
100's not the number.
100 for me would be the number. I would pay
See,
more
we're in
than
different
that.
tax brackets, though.
Well, I'm in a lower one,
No, you're not.
but I would pay $100 to not have to wait 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, that's, what is that? $30, $25-$30 an hour. Like, I don't know.
I'm $50 would probably be the number, but also half of this stuff, more than half of this stuff, you can do online now.
Yeah.
Like, granted, the transfer and the numbers and all that stuff you can't do, but like upgrading phones, doing all that stuff, you can do it online. And like, honestly, that's my preferred method now, because like I don't have to deal with anybody in the store. Like, when you get the phone, you just open it up and type your number in, and like they've already got the SIM card and everything ready to go. So
Here's something I just thought about. When you got your phone,
Yeah.
did you trade in your old phone?
yeah, I did.
We traded in our old phones.
I got like $700 credit, I think.
We got $1,000 each.
Yeah.
$2,000 for some iPhone 11s.
Yeah.
11 Plus,
Well,
or 11 Pro Max, whatever it is. But here's my thing though. Like, we paid $1,200 for them brand new.
mm-hmm.
They're not worth $1,000. You got to try to sell that joker, you ain't gonna get $1,000. You ain't get half that. So here's my question: why do they want it?
What's in it?
They always tell you to factory reset it.
Mm-hmm. They're
getting information that you like, everything you use on that phone. I guarantee you they are using it for marketing.
I think what they're doing is not that. I think what they're doing is they are either turning around and reselling the whole phone, or they're taking the rare metals out of it and like the semiconductors, because they can't get semiconductors right now. Like,
But they've been doing trade-ins for years before COVID.
Yeah, but they have never given the numbers that they're given now.
That's true. But I don't know, man. It's like,
Also, to like keep you as a customer, upgrade your phone. Like, what does that cost them?
I think you're probably paying for it in the service. Like,
Oh, yeah,
because we
for
paid
sure.
$90 a line plus yada yada yada, whatever else.
I remember you every 2 years you got a new phone.
Yeah, but like, what I don't get is like, I think that they are probably able to harvest some kind of information off
They
of
might
that
be able
phone
to. Yeah.
and then sell that information. I think they're able to.
They might.
And
be.
then I think they also probably either sell the phone or pull the semiconductor or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I think it's probably they're making more. They've got to be making money,
But see, here's the thing.
or they wouldn't be doing it.
Here's the thing. They've already got all that data. What do they need your phone
Do
for?
they though?
Yeah.
I think there's some things that they can like I bet they're pulling off information about like how many times you drop it. You know, how many,
I still
what
think
portions of
they-
the screen do you touch the most? Like information like
still
that
think they've
selling
got
it to
all of
Apple.
that. I think they've got all that.
They might. I don't know.
Personally, I think
They're
they've got all
doing
that.
something. It's
Yeah.
I guarantee you they're not doing it out of the goodness of their heart.
No, they're making money somewhere.
They're making money somewhere.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it's
Yeah.
probably a little more
Nefarious.
nefarious than
Maybe.
who knows.
Maybe. Speaking of nefarious.
Speaking of nefarious, shout out to Colin Spradley.
Colleen Spradberry.
That was a weird segue. No, I saw Colin today.
I figured we needed to like
Yeah.
move on
I like it.
because we've been talking for 11 minutes and haven't
About
gotten
cell
anything on there.
phones. No, shout out Colin Spradley. Saw him today at all staff meeting at church.
Yeah. Love that guy.
Yeah.
His sister-in-law cleans my house
Really?
and your
Amanda?
office. Yeah. Yeah.
She'll be our
That's
business shout out for the week, by the way. Amanda Michael Zach.
Amanda Michael. What?
Michael Zach?
Michael Zach? Is that?
Shout out. That's her last name.
Oh, okay.
Northport Cleaning Service.
Northport Cleaning Service does a great job.
Yep.
Very reasonably priced.
Mm-hmm. Cleans my office.
Yeah.
Has
Yeah.
cleaned
So that's
my rentals.
Amanda's brother's wife.
Cool.
Colin's wife's brother's wife.
Cool.
Yeah.
I didn't follow that, but cool.
Yeah.
Shout out Colin.
Colin's
Shout out Amanda.
Colin's wife,
Colin's wife, whose name is?
Amanda.
Well, that just makes it even more confusing.
Colin's wife's brother
Colin's wife's brother.
wife.
So Colin's wife's brother has a wife and a sister that are named Amanda. I'm confused.
Yes. Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Colin's wife is named Amanda. Amanda's brother
His
is
name-
married to Amanda. Another Amanda.
Well, that's crazy.
It's not that crazy.
That's a lot.
There's not that many names.
Is his name
out there.
Colin? Because that would
I
make
don't
it even
think
better.
So. I don't think no,
That would
it's
make it
Jeremy.
even better.
Jeremy. Shout out of our other business of the week, Wheelhouse Pub, because he owns Wheelhouse Pub.
Sweet.
So
Shout out.
shouting out all the businesses.
I like it.
Shout out Colin at the Dream Team. Shout out Highlands.
Greystone.
Shout out O'Reilly Auto Parts on Skyland. They
Yeah.
helped me out.
Shout out Walmart.
Shout out McDonald's.
All right.
Uh,
Now we're just being dumb.
yeah.
Speaking of being dumb,
Yeah. Speaking of being dumb.
you came up with all the topics today. I don't really know.
Let's see. Sorry. The food truck is currently out, and
Uh-oh.
they were speaking of what were we talking about? Speaking of shout outs, what did we say?
So I just said speaking of being dumb.
Speaking of being dumb, yeah, that works perfectly. So, speaking of being dumb, there is a place in
Off Ocean Avenue.
Off Ocean Avenue where the bird boo 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 boo. So
I'm editing this podcast.
no, you're not.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, how? Tell me.
I'm going to steal
What
your
programs
computer.
do you use?
I know people.
You know people. Speaking of dumb. Speaking of, there's a place in Boaz, Alabama that you can go and you can ride bulls every Sunday.
Wait. Are we talking mechanical bulls?
No, real bulls.
You know how they get them things to buck?
Yeah, they don't want you on their back.
You know how they get them to buck?
So
Like, really, I'm being serious.
I've heard of the way that they get some to buck. Some it doesn't take that.
Okay. So they take a belt
Mm-hmm.
or some kind of strap or something, and they tie up their gonads.
See, I've heard that. I don't know if it's. I don't know.
I've seen it done.
Okay.
I don't know about
Maybe
all
it's.
of them.
Maybe it's. There's bulls don't want you on their back, and
Sure.
there's some bulls that are meaner than other bulls.
Sure. If you were on my back and you had my gonads tied up, I wouldn't be very happy either.
I'd roll over and let you pet my belly.
Because you're a weirdo.
Well,
Oh, man.
but so what would you guess? What would you guess that it cost to ride 3 bulls?
Wait, like you get 3 different goes at it? How much would they pay me, or how much do I have to pay them? I got to pay them to ride a bull?
Yeah.
I'm going to say $25 a bull.
$25 a bull.
Yeah.
No.
What is it?
You were close.
Was I really?
With your number, but not per bull. It's
$25
$20 for 3 rides.
What?
Dude, talk about a moneymaker. Or like not a moneymaker. That's a great deal.
That's
Sorry.
a great deal. That's not a
great
money
deal.
maker.
Sorry, I messed that up.
They're doing that one out of the goodness of their heart.
Well, it's for bull riders. It's bull riding practice, is what it is. It's not. It's not really. I mean, you can go there as just an individual, but like it's made for
rodeo.
Yeah, it's
cowboys.
Oh my!
So they can learn to rope and ride.
Boys Zoe Rodeo Hallmark Bucking Bulls in Boaz, Alabama. $20 to ride 3 bulls.
That's crazy.
I want to do it.
Do it.
That's always been like one of my things.
I will pay for it if you video it. Like, hold up. I don't have my wallet on me. I got a $20 crisp. I got a crisp.
Go ahead and
$20 bill.
Go ahead and pay for it.
I will. If you go down there and I get to see it.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, dude. That's always been a thing. Like ever since I was a young man, and like honestly, it probably partially has to do with just like being raised by my dad. Like knowing that like he's a man's man. He's a manly person, and he used to ride bulls. He used to break horses. He used to race cars. He
Fight
used
bears, wrestle bears.
Probably did.
Fight some alligators.
And it was just always one of those things. It was like, Dad did it. He's a man. Like I gotta be a man.
I've never thought in order to be a man I need to ride a bull. Maybe
I just thought it was like a manly man thing to do.
It is. You cannot be. You can not have fear in your heart.
I think you gotta have a lot of fear in your heart.
The right kind of fear.
Yeah.
You either gotta be. What's that song? If you're gonna be dumb, you gotta be tough.
Yeah.
I sing that every time my kid hits his head on something.
You're dumb. Is that pretty much what you're saying?
No,
you dumb,
not
dumb.
what I'm saying. I'm just saying if you're going to be dumb, you got to be tough.
So, they do not tie up their gonads.
Really?
Yeah. Because think about how much PETA would be on them about that.
I just don't think they care how much PETA would be on them.
They said agitation is not used in any way to get them to buck. Bucking is an instinct to these animals, specifically bred animals. These specifically bred animals for a ride, bulls have a flank strap encircling their flanks, which is in front of their hips. This creates a less erratic bucking performance. So it doesn't actually like...
So it's not around their gonads?
No, it's around their flank.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's right there by their gonads.
It's pretty close, yeah.
So you see why I thought right there.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, I've heard that for a while and have never looked into it. So I didn't know if it was true or not.
Yeah.
But I just assumed that it was because that's what everybody,
Yeah.
But yeah, so they don't tie up their gonads.
Speaking of gonads, that's probably the only time that transition will ever be used on this podcast. Speaking of gonads, when I was in high school, I went to a really small private school. There were 6 people in my senior class, and we were not allowed to take anatomy and I think it's 10th grade is when we were supposed to take it.
Was it a Christian school?
Yeah, but everybody else took it, but we were not. Our grade was not allowed to take it because of how immature we were.
Ah, nice.
And we were looking forward to it because we were going to have a chant in anatomy class, and it was going to be "Go Nads, go, go Nads, go."
So somebody spilled the beans.
Yeah,
That's what happened.
somebody spilled the
Gonads.
gonads. Yeah, so we didn't get to take anatomy. So I
Yeah.
don't know anything about anatomy.
Well,
I ain't figured it out
I never
yet.
had to take anatomy. I took science. Literally. Those like in high school, it was like environmental science. Like those are like
You didn't take chemistry or physics or any of that?
Nope. You know what maths I took?
Consumer math,
No.
math and society.
Algebra A.
Algebra A.
B. So I thought I was smart at the time. And granted, I did have a good time in high school, but when I was going into high school, they sat everybody down in junior high and they were like, you tested to get into certain level programs. So they had O2 level programs, which is like, you're going to go work at McDonald's after this. They had O3 level programs, which was like, you should probably go to community college. And then O4 is like, you're going to college. This is going to better prepare you for everything. And then they also had some AP classes that you could take in there so you could get college credit.
Yeah.
Well, so we said that I took the test and I scored an O3. And they're like, if you really push yourself, you could do O4 classes. And I was like, you know what? That's like, maybe I do need to do that. And then they sat every junior hire down in the cafeteria. They were going through like what your elections are going to be for the next school year when you get to high school.
Electives.
No, elections for classes. So O2, O3, or O4, your elections of your class.
So not
what you
electives,
elected to go into.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they were like trying to make the O2 kids feel better. And they were like, look, everybody gets the same degree or like same diploma at the end of it. And I was like, so everybody, like the college doesn't even, they were like, they don't even know what O2, O3, O4 is. And I was like, thank you for telling me that. So I took O2.
Absolutely, you did.
And they took the algebra book that most people finish in a year, and they split that in half. And they said, we're going to learn the first part of this book this year. Next year, you'll get the second part. And then I had geometry A and geometry B. So in my 4 years of high school, technically only took 2 math
That
classes.
explains a lot about Demopolis.
Hey.
So I told you I went to a small private school. There were 6 people in my senior class.
Yeah.
I was one of 6. I actually transferred out of that school halfway through my senior year and went to Brookwood High School. Well, at that private school I was at, they everybody that graduated got an advanced diploma is what they call it. They had standard diploma and advanced diploma. Everybody at that school got an advanced diploma because of the classes we took.
Yeah.
Well, when I transferred out, there were a couple of credits that didn't transfer. And so the counselor was like, you can do one of two things. You can either take all like hard classes the rest of your senior year and have to go to summer school after the fact and then get to graduate so you wouldn't get to walk with the rest of your class, or you can take dumb classes like consumer math or math and society. That's what it's called. That was the only math class I had to take, and the rest of them were electives like music theater and stuff that one of them was a graduation exam prep. Well, I'd been taking advanced diploma level classes my whole high school career.
Yeah.
So
Senior year on Easy Street.
Graduation exam was nothing for me.
Yeah.
I passed it the first time, and I was like, so I can either get a regular diploma or I can walk on time, or I can have an easy senior year, or I can have a hard senior year and not walk on time and get my, like, I don't care about no advanced diploma.
Path of least resistance, please.
I didn't even go to college.
I went for 2.5 years and they kicked me out. Because I was
you were
passing
wasting
on
money?
my classes. They literally, dude. So back to high school, I literally had a class that was called science, and then I had environmental science, where like most of that class, the teacher just got up and talked about other stuff. She wouldn't even talk about science.
Really?
It was like should have been social studies stuff. She was talking about like, racism pretty much.
Science.
She was like, literally said in that class, she was like, you know, these white people are trying to hold all of us black people back. And I was like, excuse me. I don't know that I'm holding anybody back but myself. But yeah, so then college, I was way underprepared. So what's the first level math class in college is 110?
No, 101 or math 100.
Okay,
It's
math
Sheldon.
100.
It's Sheldon. It is.
Okay. Do you know what class I took?
Was it math 98?
No,
Because that's what I took. Or math 92.
I took math 005.
Was it Sheldon?
No, this
Oh.
is in Alabama. It's
Oh.
called math 005.
So I took math 98, which
Yeah.
doesn't even count for college credit.
Same.
Okay, that's what. So
Same.
it's equivalent to
Probably the
math
same
98,
thing. Yeah.
And
And
when
I
I-
failed it.
I didn't give him a chance to fail me. I got in there and I was like, I don't know what he's talking
Yeah.
about. It's the first day of class, and I looked over at the girl sitting next to me. I said, "Is this the first day?" And she said, "Yeah." And I said, "Did I miss something?" And she said, "No, you should already know this. Like, you just graduated high school." I'm like, I don't know none of
Dude.
this. I got up and walked out.
Well, I had a class. It was a history class. It only met once a week, and it was like a 3-hour class.
Ugh.
And we had a break in the middle of it.
I like history, so
Halfway through the semester, we didn't have to write any essays either. It was all tests. Like there were 4 tests in the year, and that determined whether or not you graduated. After the second test, they're handing the test back, and the professor was like, "Hey, if you don't have at least this grade in this class right now, then there's pretty much no way that you can pass this class." And so I got up and left in the middle of his speech.
I never walked back.
Never came back.
That's awesome.
That was my last semester at Alabama.
That's funny.
Yeah. I was there for 2.5 years and don't have enough credits to not be considered a freshman. I'm still a freshman.
I went on and off. I think I have about a semester's worth of credit hours. I have
That's
one
not bad.
history class I did. And I had one photography class that I loved. It
Mhm.
was like film photography, so we actually had to do like blackroom stuff.
Yeah.
That was really cool. And like I did really good in the class, but evidently I didn't turn in the final project, so I failed.
That sucks.
Yeah, I don't get that. But like I did really good on it. Like I was
Yeah.
there every class, like I really involved. Anyway. But
Speaking of, I don't want to say dumb.
which one are we talking about?
Burger joint.
Oh.
So, do you remember the Raised on Country restaurant?
Yeah.
You know, they moved.
I remember you telling me that.
So they closed down. They moved to Will Hagen's, what used to be Will Hagen's.
Is it the same name?
No, it's called Tuscaloosa's Hunting Club. Hunting Club Honky Tonk.
Hunting Club
Hunt Club
Hunt Club
Honky Tonk.
Okay.
And they had like built this restaurant as like we're getting into a bigger space. We're gonna have like exotic steaks. Like it's gonna be more of a steakhouse.
Okay.
There's gonna be exotic steaks. We're gonna have a bourbon room where there's like bourbon, like just crazy
Was it
bourbons.
that like private room they had in there? I'm sure.
I guess so. But it was gonna be its own thing. Like you could go into the bourbon room and like
Just have a good bourbon.
yeah. We went probably 2 months after they opened,
Mhm.
and it was the exact same restaurant. Like everything was the
menu?
same. Burgers, hot dogs, stuff like that. And I was
Hmm.
like, so you tricked me.
Yeah.
Like, and then we went back maybe like 2 months after that. I was like, maybe they just had to like get their legs under them,
Yeah.
and then they're going to start doing that. Dude, I never went there and they had a steak.
Hmm.
Like that wasn't on their regular menu, you know.
Yeah.
So Tuscaloosa's Hunt Club Honky Tonk closes after 9 months. A new concept is in the works. One of Tuscaloosa's more exotic eateries is permanently closed after less than a year in business, and a new concept is in the works for its former home downtown. The Hunt Club Honky Tonk opened in Timerson Square in the Will Hagen's location in March last year. The Honky Tonk was a Nashville-style restaurant offering a variety of unique steak options, family-friendly entertainment, and a large beer selection, but never quite took off in the 8,000 square foot space.
It's a massive space.
It is very big, and it was never full when I was there. Now less than a year after opening, the Hunt Club Honky Tonk is closed after a little explanation on social media or at site where a sign simply says closed until further notice. The property downtown will not stand vacant long, though. A sign in the window shows that a new group of entrepreneurs has formed Black Warrior Burgers, LLC, and is applying for a new retail liquor license for a concept called Grandstand. City Council hearing to consider that their liquor license application has been set for next Monday, the 31st, and more details about the new concept should be shared during that process.
Is this different people than the Raised Country guy?
I don't know. And I almost texted, do you know Eric Cole?
Yeah.
I almost texted him because it sounded like Black Warrior.
It sounds like something they would do.
Well, it's Black, and he's big into investing in companies and stuff. So
yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah, really good dude. But it makes sense. Like, don't promise me a nice steakhouse in a bourbon room, and then I'll walk in and it's burgers and hot dogs.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I mean, I hate it. I hate it that they're closing.
Yeah. Is that the same guy that opened Tuscany?
No.
Different guy.
No, yeah, okay. Different guy. Completely different guy.
So back on Eric Hull, he's got, for those who don't know, he has Black Warrior Brewing Company.
Yes.
A local brewery here in Tuscaloosa. In the upstairs, they have a foosball table.
Yeah.
I haven't been there in a long time, but that used to be my foosball table.
Really?
Yeah.
Man.
I traded him the foosball table and a couple other things.
For a beer.
For a four-wheeler.
Ah.
Yeah.
Do you still have the four-wheeler?
No, then I traded the four-wheeler for a motorcycle. The 2008 Yamaha V-Star. This was back in 2012.
V-Star is a good bike.
Yeah, it was like the four-wheeler was probably worth like $2,500.
Yeah.
The motorcycles worth like $8,000 or something.
Yeah.
Like I made a good trade there. But yeah, fun fact: if you ever go to Black Warrior Brewing Company,
that's your pool table.
Go upstairs. Foosball table.
So I thought that you would be very interested in this. Speaking of foosball, do you know how? So when you think rabies, what do you think? Like, what's the first animal you think that causes it?
So two. One would be raccoons and one would be bats.
So raccoons specifically, because we've got a bunch of those in Alabama. Do you know how so the state of Alabama tries its best to keep rabies down.
Uh-huh.
What would be like the thing that you think that they do?
Tell people not to touch raccoons.
Well, other than that, do you think that they act like immunization? Do you think they actively go out and like immunize raccoons?
No.
So, United States Department of Agriculture Wildlife Services program to distribute oral rabies vaccine baits in Alabama beginning on or around January the 20th, 2023.
I want to know what the cost of that program is.
You're about to find that it's probably more than you think it is.
That's scary.
The baits, okay, so beginning on or around January the 20th, they'll begin distribution of approximately 223,800 coated sachet baits containing Rabivorol RV, whatever, oral rabies vaccine across a 1,500 square mile bait zone in southwest Alabama, targeting raccoons and other wildlife. The baits will be distributed via low-flying airplanes and helicopters throughout the vaccination area and includes most of the coastal peninsula and parts of the following cities: Spanish Fort, Fairhope, Daphne, and Foley. The aerial bait drop is expected to last for around 2 weeks. The ORV baits to be airily distributed over the majority of the bait zone are plastic packets of vaccine coated in an oily fish-scented substance to attract the raccoons. Each bait is marked with a toll-free number for people to call for assistance or information if they come in contact with the bait. But it is recommended for anyone who finds the bait to leave it alone and allow wildlife to find it. However, if the bait is intact but out in the open, it can be tossed deeper into the woods or brush where a wild animal is more likely to find it. People should wear gloves or use a towel if necessary to handle the baits. Pet owners should not attempt to take the baits away from their pets, as they might be bitten in the process and exposed to the vaccine. Although baits are not harmful to pets, ingestion of a large number of baits could cause a temporary upset stomach. Anyone who comes in contact with liquid vaccine contained in the bait should wash their hands immediately. Contact their local health department for further guidelines. So, bunch of park rangers got together and decided, it'd be real fun. Let's get in some airplanes, fly real low, and let's just toss baits out.
Does it say how much it costs?
No, it does not.
So I got a few things here. One, how bad is the rabies problem?
I guess it's bad enough that we need to distribute a vaccine with an airplane.
Like, I just don't think. I mean, raccoons are mean. Like, they're mean.
Sure,
but most of them, if they're afraid of you. They don't. But if you corner them or whatever, they're gonna bite you. But I don't see that it's like that big of a problem, unless it's like, hey,
maybe it is.
That's going to be taken out. I don't know the research, so I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, which is something I don't normally do for government agencies.
Yeah.
But that's, the guys that I've seen that do wildlife biology type work are typically really passionate about it, and they definitely don't do it for the money.
Yeah.
Like, those guys don't make a ton of money.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say they probably have good intentions with it.
Okay.
So it doesn't really bother me.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, I'm trying to look on the bright side.
Progressive.
You're
progressive.
I'm not progressive. Not at all.
I just thought that was hilarious.
That is funny.
Because I saw the thing and it was like rabies vaccine to be distributed soon, and I was like, that's weird. I was like, how are they doing that? And then I was like, they're throwing it out of a helicopter in an airplane. I was like, man.
You know what they need to do is figure out a way to eradicate wild hogs. Them things are awful. We've got them real bad at our hunting club.
Yeah.
We're going up there. I bought a thermal scope, and we're going up there after deer season sometime. We haven't really set a date.
Let me know.
And
I want to go.
And we're going to light up the night.
I want to go. I really want to go.
Okay.
I really, really want to go.
Okay. We'll go.
That sounds like a blast.
We're probably going to do it more than a few times.
Let me know, because I'll be there.
For sure.
Yeah. Also, one thing that's weird to me is it said they're distributing essentially 200,000 of them in a 1,500 square mile area. Like, that's not that big. When you think about
it, depends on how many doses is that? Is that 225 doses? 225,000 doses?
I guess.
You know what I mean? Or is that like a few of them? Because typically raccoons hang out with other raccoons.
Yeah.
So if that's 3 or 4 of them getting a dose.
So 1,500 square miles. I was thinking 1,500 acres.
Oh,
that's a big difference.
That's a very big difference.
Yeah. Okay, makes more sense now.
Yeah.
But they also said that they're only doing it like around Daphne and Foley. I wonder if it's a bigger problem down there than it is for us.
Maybe.
Either way, it's really interesting. So, speaking of podcasts.
Oh, we're talking about that one now.
Yeah. You like this one off for us.
Okay, so first off, I'm not a huge fan of either one of these guys.
Okay, yeah, me neither. Honestly,
I do agree.
They've got some fun stuff.
Fun stuff, and I do agree with the majority of what they both talk about. But Ben Shapiro and Steven Crowder, and not really Ben Shapiro. It's actually Steven Crowder and Jeremy Boring.
Shapiro's got in on it recently.
He has, yeah. But it started with Jeremy Boring and Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro owns has a political talk show podcast thing, and
they have the
he's
network.
A co-owner of the Daily Wire, which is a conservative network that is actually, I think they're doing some really great things. They're putting out some conservative kids content. They're investing $100 million in kids content over the next however many years. But basically they're trying to take on Disney, and they're doing it from a not woke standpoint.
Yeah.
Like they're not shoving any religion down your throat. They're just making it like just wholesome kids content.
Yeah.
It's not perverted. Anyway, David Crowder.
Yeah, that's tough to find.
Not David Crowder. Stephen Crowder. David Crowder is a worship leader.
No, Stephen Crowder
Stephen
is
Crowder.
the worship leader.
No,
Wait.
Stephen Crowder is the talk show host. David Crowder is the worship leader.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking of Stephen Curtis Chapman.
Stephen Curtis Chapman is a different worship
and
leader.
David Crowder. Okay.
Anyway, Stephen Crowder is also a conservative talk show host. He's got a much bigger following on YouTube.
Who's a part of the Blaze?
He was previously a part of the Blaze. Their contract ended, and then Jeremy Boring, who is Ben Shapiro's partner and best friend with the Daily Wire, said, hey, we should probably make him an offer. Like we should probably at least start a conversation about it. And so they sent him over with Jeremy Boring. I heard him read almost all of it, and they called it a non-binding term sheet is what the document was titled. But basically it was like, hey, we're going to give you $50 million over 3 years, I think it was, to produce your own show. He's like, that you have to take your production costs out of it. It's like you got to hire your people or you can keep this team you have now. That includes all of their salaries. And then there were like certain things. Well, Crowder evidently did not like it. And
he had a big problem with like one specific thing.
And it was if he can't be monetized, that he doesn't get paid.
Well,
that was the thing I think.
That was the way that Crowder initially put it. But the way that it was explained by Ben Shapiro today was, we're giving you $50 million to produce your own show. If you get deplatformed by YouTube, then you don't get paid as much.
Right.
Like we take a hit, you take a hit.
Right. Yeah.
Makes
I think
sense.
you and I are probably on the same page with this one.
Yeah.
But it's caused a big stink. And basically Crowder went on a tangent on his show about it. He also called Jeremy Boring and recorded the conversation without telling him, which is not illegal, but it's
sketchy.
It's pretty sorry.
Yeah.
Especially when it's somebody that's your friend.
Yeah.
And anyway, he like took snippets of that conversation and kind of twisted them around. And I'll be honest, I'm kind of surprised.
In Crowder? When I saw it come out, so initially Stephen Crowder kept pushing this thing on his Facebook or whatever, Instagram stories, and it was like, I'm tired of being silent. And I was like, that's weird. Like, what does he mean by that? And then, like, the next day, it was like, if you have questions, I'll give answers soon.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, the next day, it was like, going live tonight to spill all the tea. And it was like, okay, so what's going on? And then, like, I'm not really like I said, I'm not a big Crowder fan. He's got some things that are funny or some things that are okay. And, like, when it comes down to it, Stephen Crowder's a comedian.
He is.
He's not a talk show host, or he's not a political analyst. He's a comedian. So.
But he's also a political talk show host.
He is, but it's just from like reading stuff and like doing, like, he doesn't have like a degree in political science or anything. Like,
no.
He has no credentials to be a political analyst. Which is fine. I'm not debating whether or not he should or shouldn't talk about politics. Sure. But when it comes down to it, he is by trade a comedian.
Yes.
And it was like he wasn't giving specifics in the first video that I saw. He was saying like, that the Daily Wire had put out this contract, and it was like, what if there was some kid out there who didn't have like the pull that I have? Mm-hmm. He was like, essentially, this is a gag order. Like, you can't talk about certain things, because if you talk about certain things, then we're gonna pull money from you. Like, we're not gonna, because you'll get deplatformed, and so like all it is like a way to control somebody. And it's like, if you know anything about the Daily Wire, it's probably like the least controlled platform that there is. But like, they're paying you $50 million. If they take a $30 million hit.
Yeah. You got to take a hit too.
Yeah. You got to take a hit too. And like Ben Shapiro said, like, that's my agreement with the company as well, is like, my show gets deplatformed.
I lose money.
Yeah. I don't make as much money.
Right.
Still make money, but I don't make as much money.
Well, and one thing, I don't remember if it was Jeremy or Dave or Ben, one of them talked about how they were going to offer him a like more of a partnership deal where they were like, hey, you know, we'll partner with you, we'll cover these expenses, and we'll, you know, distribute all your stuff. And then we, you know, split the profits, whatever the percentages were. But they're like, you know, no, we need to probably give him a base because he's a pretty big name.
Mm-hmm.
So they went ahead and offered him a base. And then we're like, yeah, if you get deplatformed, like if we can't make money off of you, then we can't. We're not going to pay you the full amount. Yeah. I don't know. I think he's
coming from a standpoint where it's very much like, what doesn't matter how much money the company makes, like as long as there's free speech, and like it's like
that's not how it works. But okay.
Yeah. It's like you know, you've been deplatformed from YouTube once,
right?
And Ben Shapiro
went to bat for him
time. And called the head of YouTube, and like maybe or maybe not didn't get him like reinstated,
right.
Or it had something to do with it. But anyways,
definitely didn't hurt.
Yeah. And so I don't know. I'm kind of on the Daily Wire side on this thing.
Mm-hmm. No, I am for sure.
And there's been
just based on what I've heard about
it. Crowder, like all of them, every single one of those guys are like Looney Tunes to an extent. And so I don't know. I don't watch a ton of their content that comes out just because it doesn't really align with how I feel most of the time.
Yeah.
But
I listen to Shapiro about once every couple of weeks.
Yeah. That's more than me.
That's about as much as I can handle.
Yeah.
There was a point in time where I listened to him every day.
Yeah.
And it's so whiny. His voice is so whiny.
Yeah.
It's not that I don't agree with the overwhelming majority of what he says. Not everything. There have been a couple of things that I was like, but majority of what he says I agree with.
Yeah.
And Crowder too, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's why I think it's funny, but I'm also surprised. So if you don't know Crowder, he's the guy that does the Change My Mind series.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a meme going around where it's like him in front of a table with a sign on the front of the table that says blank, change my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And like you can go in and write funny things on it.
Yeah.
But he did there are only two genders, change my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes to college campuses, sets up a table, and invites people to come in and have debate with him. And like it's totally impromptu. There's no like he brings his sources with him, and people gather around to listen to him. And he invites, and he wants it to be a friendly conversation. But his show gets more views if it's not a friendly conversation. Yeah. So I'm sure that's taken into account too. But yeah, there's some people that sit down with him, have great logical discussions.
Yeah.
And nobody's ever changed his mind that I'm aware of. But
probably not.
Yeah.
The other thing is, and you were talking about Steven Crowder or Ben Shapiro, like how whiny he is. I feel like Crowder's gotten whinier too.
I was really more talking about his voice, the sound of his voice.
It's all like kind of it's gotten I don't know. Anyways, that's probably about it.
Yeah,
for today.
I think it is because I got to go get
the
kids.
We're at like 48 minutes, so
sweet.
We're fine.
Roll Tide. Well, guys,
another one in the pipe.
Another one.
It'll come out in like 2 months,
maybe, if I can steal your computer and edit it.
Yeah.
Well, guys, y'all have a great week. Thanks for listening to the Aggressively Medium podcast. Yeah, y'all have a great week.
Yeah, we'll see you next week.
And your butts.